Hi there, and welcome to Warhammer Inquires, the probable lore question series for the wide universe of Warhammer. Tired of lore channels being long-winded? Just need some quick dirty lore for a thing that caught your interest. New to the 30,000 or 40,000 space? Then I am the man you need. And today's topic? Chemical warfare. Sort of. Another short episode, I think, because these weapons aren't all that confusing, and we have a quadruple feature even. Kind of, sort of. Fancy stuff, huh? But let's cut to the chase. The Flamer. You'll never guess what it does. Really, it will not click immediately. That's right, it fires fire. Its fuel, a volatile incendiary gel that is lit by its pilot light, and with it, pure flames emerge and scorch any who dare come into its range. Or the Flamer's fuel self-ignites upon contact with oxygen, which would certainly be awkward if it spilled or burst out into the air itself. Or the fuel itself is just Promethium, and works like our regular world flamethrowers, though given the Flamer itself doesn't need two tanks, one for propelling its fuel and the second the actual substance, which will become the flames. Either the canister the Flamer has is some weird futuristic dual system, or the multiple times the Flamer is mentioned, it is stated to have a monopropellant. Now the closest info I could find was in relation to rockets, both of the friendly and deadly kind. Technically, they are both friendly and deadly, and I don't think the Flamer uses rocket fuel in its canister, but I could be wrong. And I am wrong, as per the citation. It is possible for some Flamers to use binary hypergolic fuels. Allow me to lessen the confusion. Just think of it as rocket fuel for ease of understanding. Yes, you heard me correct. Rocket fuel. Now, I have a very high raised eyebrow at this for the smaller variant of Flamers, i.e. the hand Flamer, regular Flamer, and heavy Flamer, though I could see this working for vehicle-mounted flame weapons, but this is an inference which skirts the line of fanon, so don't get many bright ideas. Wordplay very much intended. Whether it uses a variety of fuel for purging things in fire or a specialized gel, it is more up to personal taste than anything, which I suppose is fine as well. Additionally, the quality of the Flamer's fuel is wholly dependent on the world itself, so a medieval world may have a lower standard of fuel. Fancy that, huh? I thought of that. So that explanation, and Intermix's point of contention, is all you really need to know. However, a case could be made that the Flamer's heavier brother, the Heavy Flamer, yes, say the line, Commoner, I know you want to. The Heavy Flamer has a bit more justification for its liquid fuel, due to how chunky it is. And I can believe there is some form of a two-tank system within that thick plasteel coffin meant to project a stream of hot death. However, aside from the mention of tanks in this citation, this is fanon thinking, so be careful. But if you're smarter, or rather autistic, it's okay, we'll try our best, you'll probably have thought or come to the conclusion of, wait, this is just a flamethrower and napalm. Kind of. And you would be correct, because it is. I can't even be mad because there's not much you could do with something that projects flames. You'll eventually reach the point of napalm and it's peaked right then and there. Promethium is just refined and crude oils. It is also napalm. Wait a minute, Promethium is just oil and oil-like products? Always has been. Joke aside, this brings me to a second point. Promethium is a catch-all term, and isn't a specialized liquid made specifically for flamers themselves, to an extent. That's right, in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, big oil is a vital part of the Imperium's churning war machine and continued survival, making all form of petrochemical products, dyes, and what have you. Though you might be asking, why the general term? Well, that comes with some baggage of a million worlds. You can't quantify that or understand that number. It's hard. So think of it as an ocean. What you can see is the surface, and it already seems endless. The same is semi-true for Warhammer 40k, and by extension 30k. We have the entire Milky Way galaxy to work with here, and now we get to talk about logistics. Don't jump just yet, it's not complicated. Math. Yet. The Imperium, for how expansive and large it is, equally requires a lot of resources. Obvious statement there, right? But here's the thing. Not every world within the Imperium's hold, or grasp, can produce everything or to the degree they need. This is why trade is so necessary. Humanity may be on top to a certain extent, but that top dog position comes with consequences. This is where transport and resource ships come into play, including just plain old regular vessels. In the depths of space, you can't exactly refuel with ease, so a good majority of the ships within the Imperium have some form of stockpile of backup fuel, and maybe just a little bit extra to trade and barter with for supplies. And if it's better refined, then it's worth even more. Because, dear viewer, fuel and refined fuel is always in demand, and as such, stocking up or even getting a more efficient source of it is prized. Promethium, as a general term, encompasses many substances, but for ease of understanding, just think of it as oil and jump off from that point during your research. It'll only get more complicated, but I trust you'll be able to figure it out. So, flamers shoot fire. Promethium is just future napalm and a casual term for a whole list of fuels and other everyday necessities. That seems like a lot. Well, remember in the beginning? You do? Excellent. Alchemical weapons, otherwise known as chem weapons, or chem munitions. Chemical warfare. Let's start off with a fun one. Phosphex, not to be confused with phosphor. You've heard of Phosphex, right? You'll never guess what it fulfills the role of. Let's just say it may be a reference to the hit game, Line in the Sand, American Nightmare. Okay, undecipherable in-joke you won't get aside, it's white phosphorus, but somehow even worse. Warhammer. If it exists, it'll probably be even more dangerous and or worse. I wish I was joking, but it's just deadlier white phosphorus. But it can burn underwater, burn water itself, burns through ceramite, adamantium, and solid rock. And unlike its white real-life brother, it is green. And seemingly it has a mind of its own as it seeks out other life to burn and expands exponentially until all life has been extinguished. Hey, wait a minute. This is just a virus bomb! But with fire. Kind of. It does the same thing, but on a smaller and more controllable scale, with the same endpoint of making an area uninhabitable instead of the entire planet. Though, thankfully, it can no longer be produced because a tech priest's neurons fired right. Their name was Viriliad, and for once in its life, they destroyed the STC fragment that let humanity make it. They were then immolated by a Phosphex weapon referred to as Phosphenix. Very classy. I'm sure this means it's gone for good. Totally. Surely. Phosphor weapons are, however, more common amongst the Scutari and are different from Phosphex weapons. Or are they? I'm being hyperbolic, if it isn't obvious, in regard to how it is used. Both have their uses. One just isn't as scorched as the other in relation to the comparison between virus bombs. Which brings me to the virus bomb itself. Not really, actually. If you want to see the destructive capabilities of the weapon, read the first 4 Horus Heresy novels. The novel series both helps you ease into the Horus Heresy itself, a shocker, right? And the build-up to the dreaded use to these weapons is honestly pretty great. Here are the book covers alongside the names, if the covers aren't obvious enough. No, you do not need the chart. Do not bring up the chart. We will get to it when we get to it. And no, you cannot skip any Heresy book. Okay. You could skip one Heresy book. Next, chemical munitions and, oh wait, I did not expect this because the other stuff doesn't have much aside from mentions. Yeah, drat, I can't leave you without at least a third thing. Technically, there's a bit more than a third thing, but you know. So let's talk about some Marines of the space variety. In specific, a unit or specialized class of Space Marine. But what are Space Marines? For now, they are child super soldiers in power armor, and that's all you need to know for the current moment. We will get to them later, trust me. Another thing is that in the Horus Heresy, there used to be Space Marine legions, and each legion was numbered 1 to 20. The 2nd and 11th went to go get cigarettes and milk, and the rest either fell apart or got addicted to caffeine and or Excel spreadsheets. In specific, this unit emerges from one of those legions, the 14th Legion, referred to as the Death Guard. They had a specialized unit of Marine referred to as a Grave Warden. Clad in modified cataphracti Terminator plate, these Deathbringers use the horrors of chemical warfare against any who dare stand in the way of the 14th Legion. Armed with grenade launchers and death cloud projectors, yes, those are real things, they launch an array of chemicals that forever scar and change the battlefield. And with their death cloud projectors, yes, they exist, their armor exhales even more of the hazardous substances whilst they commit their horrid work. Cool, right? A little extra fun fact is that the 14th Legion, known as the Death Guard, just making sure you know, also were well known for making use of chemical weapons both when they were loyal and even more so when they turned traitor. Otherwise, it's somewhat simple.